What up, roomies? And on today's episode of In the House Podcast Neighbors, we're joined by someone who's redefining what it means to turn pain into purpose. Sarah Rose is the creator of BPD Beautiful, a platform dedicated to breaking the stigma around mental health and borderline personality disorder. She's also the front woman of the band Them Versus Her and the author of Sadie's of the upcoming book Sadie's Favorite, a novel that merges art, trauma, and recovery into storytelling that hits home. Sarah's journey from diagnosis to remission is raw, inspiring, and an incredible human. She's proof that healing doesn't mean losing your edge. It means finding your power. Today, we're diving into her story, her art, her perspective on life, growth, authenticity. Sarah Rose, welcome to In the House Podcast.
Thank
Yay!
you. Woo! Hi. Thanks for
I,
having me.
Anytime. I really appreciate you coming on. This is a big thing for us over here, and having a diverse group of people coming on the podcast and telling their story. That's what we've always been about. On In the House. And shout out to Ivy. I know she's in the background checking us out. So
Hello.
so let's just dive right into it, and I'm gonna hit you with some hard questions.
All right.
Um, BPD, borderline personality disorder. Can you let us know what that is, real quick?
Well, it's a condition that is usually causes intense emotions, a lot of black and white thinking where they it's called splitting, where you kind of see things in all good or all bad terms.
Okay.
It's marked by usually a very debilitating fear of abandonment, unhealthy, unstable relationships with others, rage, uh, a lot of suicidal ideation, and a lot of self harm as well. Of course, not everything is, not everyone has every symptom, but those are like the general. There's 9 symptoms.
Yeah.
I don't know if I listed them all. I might be forgetting one or two, but yeah, it's pretty serious personality disorder. Um, it's got one of the highest suicide rates. So and
That's
it affects in the U.S. alone. It affects about. I mean, it's an estimate, but it's from like 6 to 14 million Americans.
oh man.
Yeah, and the suicide rate about 70% of people with it will attempt at least once in their life, and
Okay.
sadly, about 10% of those people end up dying by suicide. So it's a pretty serious condition. It affects a lot of people, and it's definitely something that we want to try and help.
No, definitely. Like by what you're telling me, because I've heard of course, I know about other mental disabilities like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder and stuff like that. I haven't, by what I know or by what the little bit of knowledge that I do have, borderline personality disorder hasn't really been brought up to the forefront like that.
Yeah.
And with that, when was the moment that you realized that something was a little off, and how did you begin your path to recovery and all that?
Um, honestly, I would say I was about 11
Okay.
when I kind of always felt a little different from everyone from the time I was I don't even know, maybe preschool, kindergarten. Always felt a little like on the outside.
Yeah.
But I would really say that like my depression and the self-harm and the suicidal ideation, the rage and all that, it started really accumulating around the time I was 11 is when I really started showing those symptoms. And then my fear of abandonment, my clingy, people don't like that word, but it's like that anxious
Yeah.
attachment to other people because of the fear of abandonment. Like I saw that starting from a young age as well.
No, I could relate to that because I have a little bit of abandonment issues with like a few members
Yeah.
of family. Yeah.
A lot of people do, you
Yeah.
don't.
So BPD Beautiful is such a bold and vulnerable project. How did you navigate starting it?
Oh,
And I also heard that you was under a pen name Audrey Harper.
Audrey Harper, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I would still respond if someone called me Audrey because it's like a
Yeah.
habit after like 5 years. But to start, when I started BPD Beautiful, I had just been diagnosed.
Yeah.
And I actually started just to kind of write about my own recovery. I always found writing and blogging very therapeutic. So I just, launched a blog. It was probably, I think it was the third or fourth blog that I've ever launched in my life. It's just a hobby that I always liked. And, I think over the years, it just started kind of growing and taking on a life of its own.
Right.
And then, I went into remission about maybe 2 years after I started the blog and was diagnosed. But I like to preface that by saying I was in therapy for about 8 years before all that. So I did have like that background already. I like to say that because if anyone who watches has BPD, it doesn't always just take 2 years. It's not just 2 years. It was,
No,
it was like 10 years of
no,
treatment.
something like that is a lifelong journey. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you're brave enough to like share your story with everybody and be an inspiration. You know what I mean? So it's like, so that's dope that you're out here in the forefront. Spreading awareness and having people look up to you that might not know exactly how to navigate that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what does remission look like in like that situation?
Well, it could look different for everyone. But usually the people that I've spoken with who are in
Yeah.
remission, it's kind of similar. It just pretty much means that our symptoms have reduced in severity to the point where you might not even meet diagnostic criteria.
Okay.
So it's like for the time, people don't like to say that remission is permanent because you could technically always slip back. And I think
Yeah.
that's something important to be mindful about. But with remission, you usually you just get to the point where the symptoms, you're able to control the symptoms. It's not that they necessarily disappear. But like if you have a thought that's, kind of like a black and white thought or an extreme all or nothing thought, you're able to kind of just be like, all right, well, actually there's a middle ground here. It's not one way or the other.
Yeah.
You can ground yourself better. So remission is really just, you're at the point where you're more stable, your relationships are healthier, and that includes the relationship you have with yourself. Your thought processes are a little less all or nothing and more middle ground. That's it in a nutshell. You're able to manage those emotions, this intense emotions or the rage. And usually people in remission probably aren't harming themselves or thinking about suicide as well. So
No, I get it. I get it. When you say black and white thinking, are you talking like more like extreme parallels, like one extreme good and like one extreme bad, like in that sense?
yes.
And like
Yes.
you really can't see the gray area.
Yeah. And what I mean with that is that they call it splitting.
Yeah.
Now, but it really is just like a cognitive distortion. So it's that all or nothing polarized thinking. And when you see something in like a negative way, it can affect how you see your job, yourself, your partner, your child, anything really. So you think of it in all bad terms. Like this is usually you use like words like never or always when you're having those kinds of thoughts. And anyone could have this cognitive distortion. It's not just exclusive to people with BPD, but people with BPD tend to, it's just like almost habitual. Well, it is habitual. You don't even really think about it. It's just something that happens. And if you can't control it, it runs your life. So one day or even 1 minute or 1 hour, you could think my partner's the best partner in the world. He's always there for me. He always takes care of me. He's the best. So you notice how it's all like,
it's all up.
Always. Yeah, there's no in between. Or you could devalue him and have the opposite extreme thought. He's the worst. He hates me. He doesn't love me. Why, he doesn't value me. See so it's like people with BPD tend to just always go back and forth between those two, but you relate it to everything. So you could relate it to your job or yourself, or I'm the worst employee, I'm the best employee. It kind of goes back and forth, like in simple terms.
That. that's a wild way of thinking. Like, and I could get that because on certain aspects, I think everybody kind of has those type of thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like that extreme and always being in like that mind state, I could see how it's a crazy situation. And
Yeah.
and thank you because you're educating me on a lot right now.
I'm glad.
Um, thank you. I really appreciate it. Bu- bu- um, you're turning something painful into something empowering with BPD Beautiful. What made you decide to share your story so publicly, and what was the moment you knew that it was bigger than just you?
Oh man. So, as you said before, I was using the name Audrey Harper for like 5
Yeah,
years. Just really the reason why I decided to document my recovery, not just because I enjoyed it, I also found it therapeutic for myself. Not to say that this was all started because of selfish reasons. I also realized that when I first was diagnosed, I was googling things. I was trying to find like self-help articles or little tips and things I could do myself
yeah,
to supplement my therapy, and there wasn't at the time. Now everything's, there's so much saturation everywhere, which is actually kind of a good thing as
yeah.
long as the information is
It's
accurate.
correct and
Yeah.
correct. Yeah,
So, there was really nothing there for like a self-help resource. So I was like, it would be therapeutic for me to document it, but I could also possibly help someone else, and it helps me remember the skills that I'm learning, and it helps me show someone else, and then someone else might be able to benefit from this. And my hesitancy at the time, because I waited like 6 months to like I was thinking about it.
yeah,
um I was, I was afraid of putting my face out there, my name, like given the stigma behind having a personality disorder. I'm like, well, I have a professional career to worry about, my son. So I used the fake name. I didn't show my face, and it was fine. And I was able to get into remission, and then I was realizing that it was actually helping other people. We got some comments like from people and getting emails and submissions. People are sending me their own blog posts, and
yeah.
then I'm realizing like I've gotten emails saying, "Oh, my therapist recommended you like your site." And I'm like, "That's
That's awesome.
yeah, like that's
That's awesome.
amazing."
Yeah,
I think honestly, probably in like the last year is when I realized like, okay, this is actually getting bigger than me. Um, I mean, that was kind of my hope, was to one day, oh, I have so many long-term plans for BPD Beautiful. So I was kind of hoping that it would one day, but it was kind of like, oh, it's a long time away dream. But now we have our team, people creating content. Most of our blog posts now are submitted from others with BPD or even mental health professionals.
nice.
So I mean, it's still not where I'm hoping it'll to take it, because we have so many more plans. But it's it's just growing, and it's pretty surreal actually to think about.
That is so what's up, and it's always a great thing to see somebody with like they're just trying to like put their stuff out there and
Yeah.
like help a few people, and then when it gets to like a certain, I would say a certain plateau where like professionals are recommending your content and what you're doing to their patients for help. So how does like knowing that you're being referred to in how hold on, I'm trying to word this correctly. How do you feel knowing that your work is being referred to in like that space for people to help, not only by like your peers but like by by professionals?
Actual professionals.
Yeah, yeah,
It's scary because, and I say it's scary because it's like it doesn't really boost my ego. It's more so it's scary because it's a lot of pressure.
yeah,
Like, these are serious things that we're talking about. Like, we have, technically, you have people's mental health. When you create content like this and you're putting it out there and people are actually starting to see it, you have a big responsibility to make sure you're being authentic and to make sure you're being accurate and you're doing your research. So it's scary to know that, like, all right, now like more people, especially in that space, are
yeah.
recommending me. Like, sometimes it makes me feel like a fraud. Like, oh, well, I'm no one. Like, why would you recommend this? And what if we're not actually good enough? I do get like insecure like that.
No,
So
I feel you. I get imposter syndrome all the time.
yeah, it's
So I
like,
know exactly where you're coming from with that. But it's an amazing thing that it comes from like your own personal journey, yeah, and you're affecting so many people, and you're also being recommended. You know what I mean? So that's a big kudos to you and what you and your team and your project. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. And I'm very proud of everyone that works with us. You guys are all amazing, and I couldn't do this without you. So
Fact. You had stated earlier some skills that you had learned through like therapy and like how to cope. Can you like talk us through a couple of those and like explain some of those?
I use a lot of DBT
And
tactics, DBT skills, I should say. They have DBT it's amazing. It was developed.
what's DBT? Because
Yeah, DBT, dialectical behavior therapy,
okay.
and it was developed by Dr. Marsha. Is it Linehan or Linehan? I think I've been saying her name wrong for like 2 years. Sorry. But she developed this therapy practice, and she actually had BPD herself. So at the time when she developed it, people just thought like there was no cure, or there was no treatment, is really what they would say, and like it's just like a lifelong thing. It's pretty much like a death sentence. So she developed it, and it's actually like it doesn't work for everyone. There are other therapy tactics that are more helpful for some, but it's technically like considered like the gold standard for treatment. But they have so many acronyms that like you do a group like once a week for like 9 months or a year, and then you do your individual therapy. You do these diary cards. So let's see, like specific skills though to get into it. They have like the stop skill, where you have to like stop and observe your reactions, your emotions. You have to like pause. I don't remember exactly what the words stand for. I have them all on my phone, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
They have a lot of skills that help with relationships, because the relationships are very tricky usually for people with BPD, and their partners as well. It's not easy for either partner. They have one that's called God, what is it? Dear Man, where it's like it's kind of how you identify like someone else's needs, and then also assert your own and make sure you get your own needs met. Oh man, I feel like I'm being quizzed right now. I'm sorry.
My bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
No, it's not your fault. I'm like, wait, maybe I'm being too descriptive and detailed here. Like, just a lot of mindfulness. If you want to like kind of get rid of all the therapy jargon, mindfulness is like so important for people who have BPD or who don't. And really like just making sure you're staying present. Like we tend to, sorry, my laptop is dying all of a sudden. But we tend to not really stay focused in the present moment. Like in the world that we live in, we're just very we're always on our phones, we're always distracted. But when you have BPD as well, like your emotions get the best of you, and then a lot of people with BPD will dissociate, so they kind of like detach and numb themselves.
Yeah.
So if you're not really staying present in the moment and being present, and then when you're present, it's easier to ground yourself. If you're not really doing that, it's hard to manage and control your emotions. So like they have like grounding techniques that you can do, like where you touch like a certain thing, and like you feel your hand around the cup, and like you feel the coldness. Like if you're feeling angry, there's so many different things. And if anyone watching is like really looking for like detailed tips, look on our pages, because we have so many like little easy to digest infographics on like Instagram or Facebook, because Pinterest, because it's so much information that's like even hard to just remember. So it's like nice to just be like a little
The
graphic.
roomies know that all the links to all your stuff is gonna be right down in the comment, right down in the description. So roomies, if you're looking for this information, make sure to hit the description and check out her stuff because it's gonna be really helpful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But has has like being a creative, because I know you're the front woman of Them versus Her. Does
Yes.
being a creative like help with BPD?
Yeah, for me, definitely. I can't speak for everyone, of course, but
Of course.
it is very common for people with BPD to have to be very creative. And I think it's because our emotions are so intense.
Yeah.
It's like it's just a release. So yeah, it's very helpful for me.
Good, good. That's what's up because it's helpful for me as well. You know, I'm a DJ, I'm a producer, so I know
Yeah.
how it is like having that outlet and being able just to like express yourself through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. With your new book, Sadie's Favorite, coming out October 22nd, and it's currently available for pre-order, which
Yes.
will be the links will be down there. Roomies, show us some love. Um, what was what's the one moment in Sadie's Favorite the readers will say, "Shit, that hit close to home," and why did you feel compelled to share it? Ooh,
Ooh. Um. Oh my gosh. I did get some feedback that there's a scene in the book, without giving too much away, that
yeah, no
Sadie,
spoilers. No spoilers.
yeah, Sadie writes a letter to her younger self, and
Okay.
there was a line that says, "You don't understand that concept yet." She's talking to her younger self, who's like
Yeah.
not, because her older self is in remission and her younger self isn't. So she said, "You don't understand that concept just yet. It's how someone could be so disappointed in you and still value and love you all the same. Because
Yeah.
with splitting, you know, you either feel loved or you don't. Like there's,
Yeah.
um, and then the end of the quote is, but the thing is, you don't have to understand something for it to be true." And I got feedback from one beta reader, and this stayed with me. Like this was a year ago, but
Yeah.
she said like how much it hit her, and when she read that, she just like had to put the book down and like cry, because
Oh.
it's just like, as she said, she's like, I felt like it was my older self who was you know, better off or more healed or in remission, however you want to word it. I felt like it was my older self telling me now that, like, you know, telling me it was going to be okay, and that, you know, even if I don't understand something, it doesn't mean that it's not true. um so I mean, even if I don't feel like I'm loved, it doesn't mean it's true, that kind of thing. So
No,
yeah.
I get that. I get that. And what would you say was the catalyst to make you write the book? Because you were already writing your blog, you were already doing music at this point in time. Am I correct on that? So,
Actually, at the time, when I started BPD Beautiful, I was not doing music.
mhm.
I took like a little bit of a break. But the catalyst for writing it, when I started BPD Beautiful, I kind of had the thought, I'm like, how cool would it be to like write a memoir? And I've written stories like since I was like 11. I think I wrote my first book at 11. And so I've written before, and it was always something that I enjoyed. But you know, I thought maybe I could do a memoir. So I kind of started writing like little scenes here and there, like, but they were mostly like journal entries.
Yeah.
And I kind of just let them sit for like a year. And I went through a huge life change. Pretty like my whole, while I was running BPD Beautiful, everything changed. And I was just, all right, instead of writing a memoir, you know what? I think I need like a creative outlet to kind of separate myself from the story.
Yeah.
And I took the scenes that I had and I fictionalized it, and then I added a whole back and everything. It was fun. But yeah, I mean, I guess it was kind of something that I always thought, you know, it would be really nice to publish a book one day, like something I always thought I would do. And I saw BPD Beautiful once I was starting, and I was like, this seems like a cool thing. I could use the blog to show the book, and you
Yeah.
know, maybe it'll
It's
help
am-
someone.
it's amazing because you say you wanted to do it one day and now we're here, right? And it's about to come
Yeah,
out,
that was
you
like
know.
6 years ago.
Hey, listen, everybody has their time, you know what I mean? So it's like it might have been 6 years ago that the idea may have came into thought, but hey, it's here now, right?
Yeah.
And look at the wave you're riding too. Like, you're being referred, people are looking up to you, so it's a great time.
Yeah. It's kind of
You
cool.
wove in your life experiences into BPD, right? Into the story. Without spoiling too much, what is one misconception about PBD your novel dismantles in a way only a storyteller can, or in a way only a storyteller can?
I would think probably the biggest one that it dismantles is that people with BPD are inherently abusive.
Yeah,
Um, because there are a lot of people who still, and I don't want to invalidate anyone's experience, because there are people with BPD who have abused others.
yeah,
Um, so I try to see both sides. Like, hey, we have these symptoms that are really hard to control, and sometimes we can kind of steer towards toxic behavior or even downright abusive behavior. And I think we need to be honest with ourselves that that can happen. But I also don't want to sit here and say everyone with BPD is an abuser or there's no hope and remission isn't possible and that you can't, and people with BPD don't have self-awareness and they can't take accountability. They absolutely can. I've seen more people that I can count um, who are completely self-aware and take accountability, maybe too much. Actually, they kind of
yeah,
beat themselves up for their mistakes. And it's also research shows that it's very common for people with BPD to be victims of abuse,
yeah,
whereas a lot of people still believe that it's actually the other way around, where just people with BPD are always abusive
yeah.
and they kind of demonize us. So those are really the main big ones that, people with BPD are inherently abusive, never changing, not able to change, that they lack self awareness, and that remission is not possible. Those are myths.
Yeah. And we're here to break down those myths. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And spread awareness. And it's crazy because, like, yet again, you're enlightening me on a lot of things here. And what I'm seeing is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like it's all about the extremes, right?
Yeah.
Like some abuse, some get abused, and I could see how, you know, I I could see how the mind state, which what you described was black and white, how a person could end up in those situations where they're the abuser or the
Yeah.
abusee. You know what I mean? Because it could easily be flipped, like, oh, this person, I did something wrong, X, Y, and Z, so I deserve to get X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would be a case of like crazy accountability. If I'm getting it correct.
Yeah. It seems it. I believe you are.
Oh, so I heard that the new book, Sadie's favorite, includes a read along soundtrack from Them
Yes.
versus Her. How
Yes,
did
it
he match the
does.
How did he match the music to the narrative?
Well, the first 8 tracks are instrumental,
Okay.
and the characters in the book, they all play different instruments. So if you kind of like listen to it and you pay attention to the different instruments, you can kind of see parts of the characters in the
Yeah.
music. So I did like a Taylor Swift kind of thing where I was like secretive and like you got to like look for the codes.
Yeah.
Um and we tried to, especially with the instrumentals, we tried to keep it like very easy to listen to while you read. So like it's
Okay.
nothing too crazy. There's not really any vocals. There's some like, ohs and ahs kind of thing, but that's really it. And then the 4 bonus tracks at the end of the album are, they all have lyrics and they are relevant to the story. They're relevant to BPD, recovering from abuse.
Mhm.
And then there's Letters from Home, which that's a song that the band's been playing a lot when we play out or we put it all over Facebook. That one's really kind of like an epilogue to the story where the like Sadie's writing a letter to her son, and it's kind
Okay.
of like it's like a love letter from a mother to a child,
That's
and
dope.
how like she's like telling him to like break cycles and to keep going, and yeah.
Nah, yo, it's fire because it's like now you're now not only it's how can I? It's like is this has two things. One, it allows a person to like immerse themselves in your story,
Yeah.
right? You're not only giving them the mental stimulation, but you're also giving them a physical stimulation via sound, right?
Yeah.
But it's also crazy marketing too because now like you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was like, hey, wait, here's my band, guys. By the
Here,
way,
you
I'm in a
know,
band.
here's my book, but you know, check out the album. And roomies,
I
go
love
check out the
that.
album. Seriously. But every author hides the truth between the lines, right? What's the
Yeah.
truth you buried in Sadie's favorite that you hope readers uncover for themselves without giving away too much?
That's a good one. Oh gosh, repeat the question. That's a deep thinker.
Every author hides the truth between the lines, right? What's the
Okay.
truth that you buried in Sadie's favorite that you want the readers to uncover?
Ooh, how do I say that without giving it away? That's a really good question. I like that
I
question.
got you.
The truth between the lines. I guess to be as vague as possible, I would probably say that no matter what you've done or
Mhm.
what you do or who you are, there's hope for you.
Okay, that's what's up. That's a great message because it's like in all right, not to get political or anything like that.
Yeah.
We're living right now in some crazy times.
Yes, we are.
And I'm not gonna talk politics. It's just a weird time, right? And I feel
Yeah.
that I feel like 2019 might have been the last like normal year, and ever since
Yeah.
then it's
A
been
lot
like,
of people feel that way. I've
and
seen.
ever since then it's just been this choppy thing that we're going through. But hope is like something that a lot of people are craving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not only in the situation of BPD, but just in life in general. So I could see how the Sadie's favorite could not only give inspiration to those who have BPD, but those who are just looking for like a little ray of hope. You know what I mean? To keep going.
Yeah. I yeah. We all need
Yeah,
some hope.
yeah, yeah. So let's talk music. Them versus her. When did y'all get together, and how did the band form?
Oh gosh. We got together in 2012 and uh Tim Stark and he was the original rhythm guitarist. We formed the band. We kind of collaborated with Anthony and Matt a lot. And then we had Anthony Lapardo from Westfall Recording Company in Farmingdale, New York. Represent. He's awesome. Go check him
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
If you're in a music scene, go for it. They have bunk beds in their studio. But he helped us. He produced our first album, and we started building up like a little local following. And we got good feedback. And then Tim moved to California, and we kind of just went our separate ways. He moved back to New York, and
Yeah,
then we wrote an acoustic album that we kind of just like released in 2012, 2022.
yeah,
And we kind of I just put it up. I didn't like say anything to anyone, just let the streams go. And
yeah.
then yeah, and then in the last, God, what was it? It was like maybe like a year and a half now. Oh man, time has flown though, because like a
Yeah.
year and a half went by already. We got the band back together. We
Fire.
got Howie. We brought him on as our new rhythm guitarist, and I got in touch with Anthony and Matt, and we brought the band back together. So we don't have Tim with us, but we're
You
making
got how
music.
you got Howie the man riding
Yeah,
the guitar.
Howie's great. He's awesome. I love his writing, and I don't know. I like when he writes it. Like lets me like be more dynamic with my voice and like
Yeah.
try things that I haven't tried. And I'm realizing how much my voice has matured over the years. From the first album, I'm like, I feel like I could sing that maybe better now. But I don't know. It's kind of cool just to see the growth though. And even in Matt and Anthony, who I played with in the past, seeing their growth. I was like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. Like that was 12 years ago. I didn't know you could do that.
Nah, nah. When you guys, when a group has been together as long as you guys have, even through like, the little breakups and whatnot,
Yeah.
it's always a a blessing to see like the development of everybody. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
how the sound grows together. You know what I mean? With them versus her, how do you channel your emotional journey and advocacy work into the sound and lyrics?
Well, I've always written those like very heavy emo lyrics because I think
Okay.
I've just always been a very emotional person, obviously, from BPD.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, really, it just kind of like flows out how I feel, and a lot of our songs are about like mental health struggles, just naturally because that's what I was always going through. So it does go hand in hand because it's like you write what you know, and intense emotions and black and white thinking and rage and um, toxic unstable relationships. And another BPD symptom that I didn't list before is a shifting identity, so never really knowing who you are. Like
Yeah.
that's just, if you're experiencing that, you're just going to kind of write it out in your lyrics. So now that I'm in remission, I have noticed that my lyrics are a little, they're not so much about like the mental health struggle as in like looking back and being like, holy crap, how did I get here? Am I going down the right path? Am I still good? Or yeah, I mean it kind of all ties in though. Like all of my lyrics are like little diary entries.
That's dope. That's dope. So how do you see like all right? So like from when you first started them versus her, right?
Mhm.
To like now. Would you say that like your music has shifted from more of a black and white, like rage based kind of music to like more like, yo, hey guys, this is my journey and let me tell you more about it kind of thing?
Yeah, it definitely evolved into like that where I'm like, here's my journey, this is that. Um, but even like back then, I think instead of maybe like rage baiting, because sometimes my rage would come through. Nah, actually, you know what? It probably did. I haven't heard my own songs in many years, so I'm like, I don't remember all my lyrics. But um, like I think a lot of the old lyrics were like very sad. Like
Yeah.
we have a song called "Don't Let Go," and it's pretty much me saying like I'm suicidal.
Mm.
And like I was always very I like to be like symbolic or kind of keep it open for interpretation. So like it doesn't flat out like say it, but if you listen to the words, you could be like, oh, okay, wow, she's talking. Okay.
No,
Um
it's the message in the lyrics, you know what I mean?
yeah. So yeah, I would definitely say that like, you could see the journey, I think. We're still recording. We're about to start recording like the new album
Okay.
next month. So in the next few months, we'll have some teasers and stuff, and you can like really see it. Right now, we just have like little teaser videos of us practicing, so the sound quality is not that great. We have to like I put the lyrics up, so this way it's at least easy to follow the words, but the sound is it's from a phone. So
Ooh. Now that you brought up your new project, what would you say is like, I don't want to say the sound, but like what's gonna be like the emotion and the flow of the new project without giving too much away?
it's definitely going to be a little more alternative, I think, than the first album.
Okay.
It'll be, yeah, it's more alternative. I think Anthony Lapardo, when he produced us, he had a very heavy background in like metal. So like when he like helped us like record different sections, you could hear the influence in him, and it was pretty cool. Like I definitely I don't growl or do any kind of screaming, but like you could hear like the guitar in the background. It's like, oh, okay, that was Lapardo, and there's definitely some kind of metal influence in there. You could hear it. So that was pretty cool. But we won't be recording with Lapardo for this time, so that's kind of probably going to be out. I know Tim's influences were mainly like Blink 182
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. And I think I actually don't know Howie's exact influences, but he has a different sound than Tim.
Okay.
So it will be different, but it's still gonna be like the same band. I'm gonna be honest, I think our sound has matured to a greater level. And I think that would have happened if Tim were with us too, but he's not. And it's just, because it's been so many years. So I think you're, like we said before, you're going to grow, and
The
get
journey
better.
grows, man. And
Yeah.
I really look forward to listening to it when you guys release it. So
Thank you.
definitely let me know. Definitely let me know. You talked about how the younger generation is more open to mental health, but sometimes struggles with emotional grounding. What do you think we're getting right, and what do you think we're missing?
Whew, that's a great question. Um, I think what we're getting right is as a society, I think we're becoming more accepting of people. Well, not to get political, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think like as a whole, like depression and stuff, like it's more.
There's more awareness.
There's more awareness. Maybe not so much acceptance. Maybe that's taking it a little too far. But I think what we're really getting wrong, even just as a society, especially for the younger generations, is we're too fast paced. We're relying on machines to help us raise our children.
True.
Now we have AI. People, the younger generation, using Chat GBT as a therapist. Don't do that. And I'm talking to anyone who've used this, like, especially if you have BPD, don't do it.
No.
It's not safe. And I think that's the main problem. Is like the world is just we're just too fast paced, and we as a society we're just not very mindful in general because you everywhere you go people just have their nose in their phone, and
Yeah.
myself included. Of course, I'm not
Yeah.
taking myself out of that, but it's just I think the technology usage is actually really getting a little out of hand, and um, I think that's
And
something that the younger generation is really going to have to work towards.
yeah, I agree with you 100% that the overuse of technology, even though it could benefit us, is also detrimental to us in a way that we're not practicing mindfulness and presence,
Yeah,
where we're not like, excuse me, where we're not like, enjoying the moment or living in that moment. We're just like, oh, we're taking a flick for the gram, we're doing this, to post and all that other stuff, where you're not like sitting down and just enjoying like the environment and the people that you're with, and actually
yeah,
creating like this like lifelong memory. They're trying to live it through a screen versus
yeah,
living it through life.
yeah. It's gets kind of sad when you think about it. It's like, all right, I wake up, I look on my phone real quick, get ready, drive into the office, screen, phone, go home, do the same thing, relax, read, like everything's on the phone. So, like there's pros and cons, obviously. Like if we didn't have technology, BPD Beautiful wouldn't like exist,
Yeah,
or maybe it would be more like limited and localized, and so it's just like it's kind of like where with people with BPD are always thinking about the extremes, or not thinking about, but thinking in extremes
yeah,
and switching back and forth. It's like the same thing with that. There's a balance, like, and I just think as a society we don't really balance too well with
yeah.
the
We
technology.
I think that humans in general, since like rain history started, we never really been a balanced species. We've always done one thing
Yeah,
or another in
yeah,
like a massive stream. So like I get that. Like I get
yeah,
how like technology and all this other stuff is like you know cutting the attention span, and affecting us in a way that is not allowing us to connect and unify. When technologies like that were even though mega corporations use them from other things, things like social media could be used to connect and unify people, etc., etc. That's in that sense. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Let me see. If you could redefine how people view mental health, completely, the stigma, no stigmas, no labels, what would the world look like to you?
So if I could redefine mental health without any stigma,
Any
how would
stigmas, any labels?
oh, it would look like heaven. It would look like heaven. I mean, if without any stigma, I mean, it would just people could like respect each other, and and automatically know how to validate. Like that's another thing. Society doesn't like we're just not a validating society, and like we don't validate people's feelings. And when someone has like a trauma response, sometimes they just need the feeling validated, even
Yeah,
though they're not like don't you don't have to affirm it. You don't have to agree with it. Just notice and acknowledge, all right, you're feeling rage. I can see that you're feeling rage. And what do you need from me to all right, okay, I'm just going to give you some space and let them know and communicate. Like if there was no stigma, I feel like people to get to no stigma, you would have to have a society that just
yeah.
has an understanding and has empathy. And but I don't honestly, I'm going to, I mean, we can help people one at a time, but I don't think as a society we'll ever get to that perfect place. It's just this is the world we live in. It's not perfect and it's never going to be.
No, of course not. The world is a very flawed place, but I think, you correct me if I'm wrong. I think if one person could affect one other person, and that chain continues,
Yeah.
eventually there'll be enough affected people that'll be like, hey, all right, guys, let's bring this up to the forefront and let's bring awareness to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where society can move forward one step at a time. I'm not saying it's going to be a perfect place, of course
Yeah.
not, because humans are flawed.
Yeah, but we
But
make progress.
yeah, but as long as we can make a little bit of progress and it could help, I would say, alleviate the stigmas and
Yeah.
cure, not cure, but like help heal the wounds of our past generations. Because I truly believe that the generations before us and the generation before that, like from like the boomers and all that, they were always like this tough generation that was like, oh, let's not talk about our feelings, let's
Yeah.
not talk about
Yeah.
trauma. Trauma doesn't exist here.
Yeah,
but
no, no.
but when you see the results of, like, and I don't want to say like this, but like World War II, Vietnam, all these heavy events that happen, you can see the trauma. And, for some reason, I don't understand why those generations didn't say, let's take the time to address it instead of just, hey, let's just sweep it under the rug and nothing happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, but you're right. I mean, even therapy in the
Was
same
frowned
generation,
upon.
it was like stigmatized. Oh, you're going to therapy, you're going to go see a shrink. Like
Mm.
now, which this is something that's improved is almost everyone's in therapy. I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah, like therapy is like a normal, healthy thing now.
yeah, it's very normal. It's normalized, and that's great. And I think that's a step in the right direction. I mean,
Definitely is.
even with BPD specifically, doctors used to think there was no treatment for it. There's really nothing you could do. Oh, just maybe try some medication. There's really actually no medication. As last I checked, that is on the market specifically for BPD. They just
Yeah.
give you medication to like treat different symptoms. But yeah, I mean, so they thought, there was no treatment. And now people are realizing there is a treatment, but there's still a heavy stigma because not
Yeah.
everyone's on board. There are even some therapists who don't believe it yet. So I had a therapist like that where she's like, "Oh, you don't have BPD. People with BPD don't change. They can't." I had a client in here stormed out so many times, like assuming that everyone with BPD is like that.
Yeah.
Now, we can be difficult when we're in our emotions, and if you don't know how to handle that, or if you're not trained
If
to
you don't know how
support
to
someone else,
navigate that, yeah.
yeah, it's very hard, and it becomes very toxic very quick. That's really no one's fault. It's not the partner's job to save the person with BPD. It's
Of
the
course not.
person with BPD's responsibility. But of course it can help. It helps when the partner's supportive, but not everyone automatically knows how to be supportive, and
Yeah.
it
And
becomes a cycle.
not everybody's way of support, I would say, is the proper way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
or it just doesn't work for
for
everyone's
for
different
that
too.
situation, yeah. If you could sum up everything you're trying to do through Them versus Her, Sadie's favorite, BPD Beautiful, into one mission statement, what would it be?
To help people who feel unseen and ostracized and broken. I want to help those people feel seen and understood,
Yeah.
so then they can get to the point where they feel hopeful and can actually help get themselves out of whatever they have to get out. So, like, whether you're listening to our music, I want you to feel like, oh, I get that. I understand those lyrics. Or it's like she wrote this song for me. And I want people to feel like they're being seen and they're being understood. I want people who have intense emotions or trauma to just feel like, okay, like this is like other people have this too, or other people get it.
Yeah, you. So I get it. It's like you want them to feel a state of connection that they're not, they're not going by, they're not doing this by themselves. That there are other people out there that's similar to them. May not be exactly what they're going through, but similar to them, and and that they're heard and being seen. That
Yeah.
is that kind of like in the right direction.
Yeah, because ultimately my goal with at least BPD Beautiful is to try and reduce the suicide rate a little bit. It that would be the ultimate goal.
And Sarah, I think you've done the, and this is me just, talk, just talking, and by your energy and by like the things you're doing and all the research I've done, I think you're affecting that because a lot of people are looking towards your work and what you're doing as inspiration, and you're being referred, like I said earlier. So I think you're helping that very much. You know what I mean? And you probably don't give yourself enough credit, but kudos,
No, not
girl.
really. I don't give myself credit. I'm like, ah, whatever.
You
That's
got this. You got this.
fine.
All right. Um, beyond the book and the band, what is wait, what's like the bigger dream beyond the book and the band that you're still chasing with your art and your meaning?
Artistically, I already have plans for a second book.
Nice.
um, and I mean, artistically, I want beyond the book
Yeah,
and the band,
yeah,
beyond
but
it.
beyond what you're doing right now, like,
Oh,
is
okay.
there like any like bigger plan that you want to achieve out there beyond like the scope of what you're doing now?
Well, I mean, I would love to get into some public speaking.
Okay.
Um, and I really want to set up, and I'm hoping we can do this very soon. I want to set up like some retreats, like in-person retreats and even virtual retreats, like to try and bring people who, especially people with intense emotions, BPD, trauma, just bring people together. So running some retreats would be really awesome. I would love to one day open up some kind of like community center too for
Yeah.
people with like cluster B personality disorders and trauma. I was also thinking about maybe expanding BPD Beautiful to cater to people with autism, ADD, CPTSD, all these different like conditions that are often diagnosed with BPD.
Yeah.
I would love to do that. We'll see what happens though.
All right. When people look at your work, the music, the writing, the advocacy, what do you hope they say about Sarah, that what you stood for?
Authenticity. Be true to who you are. And if you don't know who you are, look, discover who you are. But that's what I want to be. Wait, I'm so sorry. What was the question? My brain started going.
It's like, all right, when everything is all said and done, right?
Yeah.
Through all your work, what do you want? What would you like, the viewers, the listeners, to know what you stood for?
Yeah. Authenticity. I'm being
Authenticity.
authentic to myself, to my core values, to my beliefs. Um, and I think you should be authentic as well.
All right.
And stability too. I think that answers your question. I'm not sure. I'm
No,
so
no,
sorry.
it does. It does. It does. And like I said, you've been amazing. And The final question of the night that I've asked all my guests. What's one message that you have for the roomies and for the world?
For the roomies and for the world. What's one what?
One message.
One message. Oh my gosh. What do I say? One message.
One message.
You know what? Don't put up with abuse. Don't put up with people who are attacking your character. Keep an eye out for manipulation, red flags. Learn about that stuff. Always watch the people around you, and how they present themselves and how they act and how they treat other people. And make sure you're staying true to your own core values, whatever those are.
All right. Roomies, this has been In the House Podcast Neighbors. We've been here, the lovely Sarah Rose has blessed us with her presence and, deliver us very kind words of wisdom. And with that being said, peace out. You already know all her links will be in the description below. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.